We're talking about getting vulnerable this
Vulnerable Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast, where we talk about how to thrive as a person, a partner, and a parent. And we want to help you make the most of your midlife. My name is Emily Orton.
And I am Eric Orton.
And welcome to our podcast.
Welcome. So, Vulnerable Valentine's Day. Actually, before we get into vulnerability, I want to say a few things.
Just got to be open about this.
We got to come clean with you. We want to send cinnamon rolls to your house. That's the honest truth. Mm-hmm. February 8th is Fezziwig Day. And
it's a family holiday that we celebrate the first day we moved aboard a sailboat with our 5 kids. It was a 4-year journey getting to that point. And it was super scary, but we stuck with it and spent a year on a sailboat.
And so we love to...
We honor the day with cinnamon rolls.
And so what we do is we figured out something that really worked for us to help things happen that we thought were previously impossible. And we coach on that. We're coaches.
A 7-part framework that we reverse engineered from going through multiple impossible dreams personally. And we just have so much fun helping other people discover what's possible for them as well.
And so the discovery, I'm going to connect discovery call and cinnamon rolls here. So we do discovery calls because we want you to give it a try. We want to help you just start down this road of pursuing something that you think currently is impossible, but can actually come to be in your life. And so that's why we do discovery calls, so that you can discover what's possible in your life. And in honor of Fezziwig Day, the first 10 people that sign up for a discovery call, we will send cinnamon doors directly to your door so that you can celebrate this family holiday with us. So that's it.
Cinnamon rolls directly to your door. First 10 people to sign up in the continental U.S.
Ta-da.
We're going to make that happen.
Back to Vulnerable Valentine's Day. Why do we want to talk about vulnerability, Emily?
Well, here's the thing. As we coach different people, nobody wants to really admit that the reason they aren't pursuing their dreams is because they have, some kind of fear obstacle, or there's a concern, or there's some kind of story that they're telling themselves about themselves. Some of that is subconscious and some of it is protective. But we've seen that, today we kind of want to focus on thriving as a partner, whether you're in a marriage or you're in some other partnership that you're going through life together. And sometimes with those that we are closest with, we have trouble revealing our fears or our feeling of embarrassment or shame if we haven't been able to make life turn out the way that we hoped it would. And that can really inhibit us from being honest with each other and really finding out what is most important to us, and therefore what kind of dreams we want to strive for, what kind of goals we want to set. We aren't totally honest with ourselves, and that makes it hard to be honest with the people that we're trying to do life with. But what we've discovered, and this happens sometimes when we're coaching, we can provide this sort of encouraging, I won't say neutral because we are like on your side, middle ground, where people can feel more comfortable actually saying, here's what's holding me back. Here's how I feel about it. And help them move forward into getting past or over or through the obstacles that are between them and saying truly what they would actually be excited about in life.
Is it okay if I share an example? I think one of the things that we hear is, or I observe, I will say, one spouse, we're on a coaching call and one spouse says something out loud and the other spouse says, I never knew you felt that way. Or they say something and the other spouse says, well, that's not true. You said the other thing. And they're like, well, actually, that's sort of a variation on what I actually, like there's the, how can I say this? because we always want to respect confidentiality. But it's like, like that's one version of it. But when I'm really being honest with myself, there's this other version.
So I think we can share this example because this comes up actually quite a bit, where someone will say, my spouse doesn't have any dreams, or my spouse isn't adventurous. I can't even count how many times we hear one spouse saying the other spouse.
They project something onto that person.
Or that's what they believe about their spouse. And then if you actually get in the same room or on the same Zoom call with the other spouse, you find out, no, they actually do have dreams, and there is a sense of adventure, and there are things they would love to look forward to in life, but they feel held back by some other circumstance. And it could be any number of circumstances, whether it's an obligation to a sick family member, or what they believe a child might need to have stability, or what they believe about their money situation. Like, this comes up over and over again. And they say, like, I don't feel like I can actually have a dream until we get through XYZ obstacle. So I have them, but I'm unwilling to unlock that door right now. And that is a whole different question. That's a whole different situation than not having goals and ambitions and things that you want to do with your life, than feeling like I'm incapable of addressing those dreams because I'm so burdened by these other situations. So what we're talking about is telling the truth about those things. Is saying, like, I actually have dreams, and I feel a little bit afraid that I'll never get to them because I'm on the front side of this obstacle, and I'm not sure when I'll get to the back side of it. But I don't believe right now that I can dream in this position. We would disagree.
Yeah.
The dream can actually be really helpful, but you can't get to the dream if you're not being honest about the obstacle.
Well, we wrote down 4 different things that are kind of how you can get to those kinds of conversations and have them go well. Should we go through those?
Yeah, because we would really love for you to be able to create a situation where you can be honest and in a way that will bring your relationship closer together, and also make it more likely for you to achieve your goals. And that will just make life more fun. You'll be more hopeful. Your relationships can improve. And so, yeah, we want to talk about a few ways that you can facilitate and nurture and support a vulnerable Valentine's. You don't have to do it on Valentine's Day. It's just alliterative, but
we're just trying to be catchy.
Yeah, but that you can really support having those kind of conversations over and over again throughout your life.
So, first of all, sometimes it just logistically getting into these conversations is the obstacle. Finding the right time and the right place. You hear it in the movies all the time. I just didn't want to bring it up.
It wasn't a good time. I never found a good time to bring it up.
That, and I had no choice.
I had no choice. Also not true.
So one of the things that we've learned to do is that when you're looking to have a vulnerable conversation, it's really hard to find the right time. And one strategy to get over this is to set a time and say, I'd like to talk with you about something specific. Could we do it at this time? And you're able to pick a time and a place to do it where you're not going to worry about being interrupted by the kids or phone calls, or, you're not going to do it in a high traffic part of the house. But you say, sometimes you go away, like, let's just go for a drive or let's go for a walk so that you can have privacy and be able to do that. And so one strategy is just to set a time, and I would say a place.
Yeah, calendar a time and place and make it ample.
Yeah, and try and keep it free of pressures on the backside, so that if it does go long, that's okay. You're not like, oh man, we got to really get to the point here.
Yeah, and I also love that if you have that time set up, you have a time and a place, you could also let the other person know the theme, or you could let them know, it's nothing bad, but I just really want to have a chance to kind of share my dreams with you, give them some kind of indication that this conversation is really important to you and it's going to be a little vulnerable and you hope it will bring you closer together.
Yeah, right. You don't want to leave it with an ominous tone, like, hey, let's talk together in 5 days about something really serious. And then they spend the whole week worrying,
If you do want to talk about something serious, is also a good strategy for that. But
yeah, you can say it's like, I think it's going to be a good conversation, but I just want to make sure we have some time around it.
Exactly.
Which is actually brings me to my second point, which is set the tone. And I think you were saying you can do some of that early on, but when you actually get into the conversation, it's okay to say a few things that will lay the groundwork. And I think we've done this in our marriage, and I've also done it. It comes up a lot in the creative space, like when we're working on a story or a song or, anything that's kind of still a work in progress. And sometimes I'll give it to you, like I was running some ideas past you yesterday. I said, I'm going to run some ideas past you, and all I want is encouragement.
You said, I don't want you to poke any holes in this. I just want to hear about the things that you love about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna run some half-baked ideas past you, and please don't try and poke holes in them because they're not ready for that.
Yeah, it's not the stage for that.
And you and our daughter sat there and listened, and we're just like, oh, and you guys nailed it. You guys were great.
You gave us some clues as to what kind of feedback was actually going to be helpful.
And sometimes, and I'm using sort of creative examples, but these also apply to whatever topic you want to discuss. Like I'll say, here's a chapter of a book, and I'll be like, I just need you to read this for typos. Like only look for glaring, like stupid, like I don't want to send this out and look stupid, but I don't want to change any of the content. Or I could say, read this, and all I want to know is like, is the story working? Is the theme landing? Or and I don't really care about typos at all. I'm just trying to get the heart of it on the page.
And in a conversation, you might say something like you said, "Oh, this is a half-baked idea," or "These feelings are really tender to me, and I just want to trust you with them, and I don't need you to." Give any sort of adjustments or modifications to what I'm sharing. You're the person I love best in all the world, and I want to trust this with you, but I'm not ready to make any changes to how I'm feeling. I just want to share how I'm feeling. And so I really need you to just like listen to me and be there for me. Or you might say, I want to hear what you love about it. Or maybe it's robust enough that you're ready to hear more. Like this, I've been thinking about this and I have it all sorted out, and I'd love to know your thoughts and how you think this fits into your hopes for the future and how we might be able to work together.
So yeah, again, setting the tone so that the person knows how to give you the best chance at getting it right. And I think actually an idea just popped in my head when we were newly married and I came home and you put a sign on the door.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
Okay. This might be kind of cliche, but we were newly married. And so I don't know, I guess I just suddenly felt like very sophisticated. And so I got my hair cut. Is this what you're talking about?
And you just said here's what I want you to say.
I got my hair cut really short, like a Princess Diana haircut. And I thought I was very sophisticated, but I was also a little nervous how Eric would respond because I didn't mention it to him. And so we had a little clipboard outside our front door, and I wrote a script. I wrote a script for him so he would know exactly what to say. And I kind of walked him through his usual comments as he comes in. Like, I saw the price of gas was this, and I did such and such today. And then opens the door, sees, his wife, and says all of these complimentary things about her new haircut. So I actually just told him exactly what to say. I got exactly the response that I was hoping for. And he didn't get into any dangerous territory of being surprised or having a comment that maybe came to mind without going through a filter first.
I got an A+.
He got an A+ in his response to that situation. So that was actually really helpful. And we could talk more about it later, but my initial fears were alleviated that he was like, "You look amazing."
Okay. So number 1, set a time and a place. 2, set the tone. Whether it's when you make the appointment or in the moment, like when you're starting the conversation. And just to loop back, you were talking about like one example might be, this is very typical Mars and Venus. Like a woman might say, I just want you to hear what I'm going to say. I don't want you to offer any solutions or ideas. I just want to be heard. That's sort of the stereotypical Mars and
Yeah.
Venus.
And I think sometimes a man might want to be able to say that too.
I think so too. And, and the man might say, all I want is for you to help me come up with ideas. And because,
or all I want is for you to tell me how great the ideas I already have are.
That's my favorite. That is my favorite conversation. I'm going to come up with a bunch of ideas and you're going to tell me how you like them all.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the third one is, and I don't do this often, but when I do, it really helps me. When I'm feeling like I've got vulnerable feelings or things that I don't really have sorted out yet, I write a letter. I write a note and, let's just say it's you and me. I write out whatever it is that I'm trying to figure out. And I say, hey, can you read this? And then let's talk about it later on. Like, I don't want, don't read it and then come process it. Mm-hmm. And it does a couple things. First of all, it gives me a chance to put my thoughts together in a time and in a way where I feel like I can concentrate and I can revise and I can say, no, that's not how I want to say it. And I can have 3, 4, 7 tries at saying it right. And I can also maybe be a little bit braver than I would be to put something down on paper and be like, okay, yes, I think that's it. That I wouldn't be able to just do on the fly in a real-time conversation. And I think we've both done this, but then say, hey, whether it's an email or maybe avoid texting. I feel like for some reason that just feels a little bit
too immediate,
volatile. Yeah, it's too immediate. Maybe you don't have to go so far as printing it out and putting it in an envelope, but you could.
Yeah.
But just say, hey, here's something that I'd love for you to think about, and let's talk about it. And it gives you a chance. Gives you a chance to collect your thoughts, say it in a way that your best crack at saying it accurately, and then having the vulnerable conversation together.
And if you're married to someone like me who has ideas really quickly and forms a quick response, or loves to interrupt,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Then this can be especially helpful because in the letter that you write, you're not going to get interrupted. You're not going to get thrown off course. You're not going to go on a tangent. You're going to be able to carry your very important line of ideas all the way through to their conclusion. And then the other person, me in this case, has a chance to sit with the entire idea and ruminate on it and show a little respect for it, give it some time to process it, and then come together at an appointed time and place to be able to actually talk about what's so important to you. That's been truly helpful to know, oh, he's really been thinking about this, and this is a well-considered, what would you call it? Just like an explanation of what's in your mind and heart, or what you're trying to do in any given area. Then I can take it seriously and I can show the respect and come with my best ideas and the most empathy and support.
And I think sometimes writing it out actually, you don't need to set an appointment as much, because you feel like, okay, I'm confident enough to just have this conversation whenever, because most of it's out there. We don't have to sort of create a safe space for it. So either way can go, but writing it down.
Okay, so what are the ways that we want you to thrive as a partner when your relationship with your spouse or the person you're doing life with is thriving? Then you show up better in all areas of your life. It's better for you, it's better for them, and it's better for your kids, your community. You're more present and you're more at your best. So what are the 4 ways that we can have these honest, vulnerable conversations that will draw us closer to our loved one and help us be our best self?
Well, we're going to come to the 4th one here in a second, but to recap, set a time and perhaps a place, set the tone, possibly when you set the time and place, but also at the beginning of the conversation. 3rd is write a letter in advance. And maybe you write letters, like each of you does one, but that's one way. And then the last is actually not a strategy, but an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that you were talking earlier about being on the front side of an obstacle, and how what we found is that when we're able to be vulnerable with each other as husband and wife, and we're able to be candid about things that we're struggling with or things that we're worried about, or share things that feel embarrassing or fragile, that actually brings us together, first of all. And it puts us in a place, in a mindset where our trust is so much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And that the vulnerability leads to trust, and that trust leads to the other side of the obstacle. You're able to then, whereas before you might have been feeling stuck or trapped or frustrated or discouraged, you're in a much more positive place just by having had that conversation, and you're open to things that are good and hopeful, and you're more open to the possible. And so one of the outcomes of vulnerable conversations is, I think, an increase in optimism, and it leads to dreaming. That's really what it is. It leads to dreaming, and you're able to think bigger as a person and a partner,
Mm-hmm.
Individually and together. And I don't know. Does that ring true to you?
That rings true to me, and it really makes me think of gratitude and appreciation when you have a conversation like that. The correct response is always, thank you so much for trusting me with this, or thank you so much for receiving this.
That's a great
with respect
response.
And you want to get into that place where you're on the same side of the table, and it's you and I against the world. Again, like together we can combine our forces and make great things happen. We can have peace in our relationship, and we can handle the different challenges and struggles that are either coming our way or that we're choosing to take on. And that is hopeful. But sharing that appreciation and saying like, wow, I'm so impressed. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that we get to go through life together. There's nobody I'd rather tackle this with than you. I think that's the outcome you want to get to.
I think you said something really important that I just want to emphasize, which is a great response. After somebody's done sharing their heart with you and being vulnerable, say, thank you for trusting me with that. You can't go wrong. And then be trustworthy. Don't ever abuse that vulnerability. So I just think that's a great conversation line that I know that I've been the beneficiary of, and I think it's been good for both of us. Mm-hmm. Anything else that we should say about vulnerable Valentines?
Well, we're just happy to be part of this journey. We aren't doing this perfectly, but we keep coming back and trying again and again. We also are seeking to make the most of midlife to thrive as a person individually, as partners in our marriage, and as parents of our 4 adult kids and 1 teenager. And so we're right there with you. And we hope that if you found something useful or valuable today, that you will give it a try at home. Let us know how it goes. Share it with friends or loved ones you think might find a benefit here. And we'll just remind you about the cinnamon rolls and the sailing.
Cinnamon rolls and sailing. Go to theawesomefactory.nyc/discovery to sign up for a discovery call. And the first 10 in the continental U.S. that sign up get cinnamon rolls straight to your door in honor of Fezziwig Day.
And you get a great conversation with...
Oh, and there's that.
Eric Orton.
There's that.
If you're tired of listening to us, let us listen to you.
Love it. And come sailing with us. We do these fun trips. Go to our website /sailing2024, get some of the details there, and talk about, whether this might be a good fit. And if so, it's great to do as a couple. You can come with other family members, or, put together a whole group and come as friends, whatever. We love to do it. And it ends up being a pretty transformative and pretty fun experience.
Yeah. So we always love to end with the question, what could go right?
Thanks for listening.